The Premier League is back this weekend. The internationals all finished last night. So I think it's only right that we go through all of the other news before we fully start concentrating on the football again. I'm going to talk about Manchester United's midfield options and potential options for this January. I've done some more digging around and researching and reading, and from opposition clubs as well, who we might be buying players from, looking at their side of the news, also narrowing it down who United can realistically get this January transfer window. We are looking ahead slightly to the summer window as well in all of this news and this kind of roundup here on the show this morning, everybody. But there is really only one option for Manchester United from what I can see for January, going off the latest news anyway, and what everything else that I've actually read into this morning for you. So going to break this down, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to talk about Conor Gallagher and why he is the main target for Manchester United. Well, not so much the main target, but if you're looking to invest and bring in a midfielder, this might be the only target for Manchester United. Bringing you all of that, a roundup of all the internationals, everything that's going on around the football club, heading into this weekend's action, and of course your live chats. Get in there, everybody. Give me your thoughts. Conor Gallagher, why is it him? Why is he the only one that Manchester United could potentially be buying for the midfield area this January? Now, of course, if you didn't see the show last night, the forward options is a different ballgame altogether. There is one very gettable target, and if you didn't have your say on Antoine Semenyo, we will have a section in this live show this morning for you to have your say on that later on as well. So bear with us on that. We'll concentrate on midfield first, then move into everything else. So, laying out every single option for Manchester United: Elliot Anderson, Wharton, Carlos Baleba. We know where we're at with them three players right now. Unless Brighton change their stance, the only one of them three is Carlos Baleba that might be available in January. Moving forward, you've got your other options. Who could come in? Anyone from abroad? Anyone like Buwadi? No, they're in the Europa League. They don't really want to sell him in January. Stiller not looking to be sold in January by Stuttgart either, obviously competing in Europe themselves as well. And Manchester United coming up against brick walls really when it comes to trying to get deals done there. Of course, the word from United is that they are looking to any potential move for a summer target in January if it opens up. We were going through all of Nate Salt's article from the Daily Mail last night in the show around potential midfield targets for Manchester United. We are monitoring João Gomez. That is a realistic option for Manchester United, but reading in from the Wolves side of things from yesterday on João Gomez, for instance, and this is why I've come to my own conclusion really as to what's realistic and what's not for Manchester United in January. Please do get your comments in on this as well, but he has already come out and tweeted, João Gomez, this is, about getting behind Rob Edwards, the new, obviously, Wolves manager that was appointed over international break after Vitor Pereira was sacked by Wolves. He is in and right behind him, already talking about how good it is and how good it feels to be behind. I know that could only be words, and I know that is just a player saying the necessary stuff that you would get players talking about when being rumoured to be leaving a football club. But apparently there is a lot of reports on this as well. Look, I don't know if this is genuine or not, but the report from the Wolves side of things regarding João Gomez is that there is an agreement, a gentleman's agreement with Rob Edwards, that they're not just going to sell everybody on him in the January transfer window. They want to give him a chance and try and see him through now with his current squad all the way through until the summer transfer window. There is no real finances in place to invest and bring extra in, according to the Wolves side of things. So the one thing that they can try and guarantee and give to Rob Edwards is that they're not going to sell his team from under him as soon as he's walked through the door. 6 weeks in, there goes João Gomez, and that is, I think, end of days for Rob Edwards and Wolves. You cannot lose your best players at this stage when you are already so low. So from the Wolves perspective, they're quite confident with a new manager coming in. Look, it might have been different under Vitor Pereira. I don't know. And maybe there was a bit of a dark cloud forming over the club and players wanted to jump ship. But the new manager bounce and the new manager vibe that's coming at Wolves seems to have really given them a little bit of a boost. And of course, they've not started playing yet. And we'll see how much of a boost that's going to give them when they come up against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park this weekend. But still, the word is, from their side, João Gomez isn't realistically going to be sold in January. Look, if United come in with a substantial bid, and this is what we were talking about last night, are they willing to invest summer's money into January? If that player is somebody that Manchester United have got on their list to bring in the summer, they would look at the opportunity. The opportunity side of things is the key word in all of these reports at the moment, because an opportunity for me doesn't say overspend and back Ruben Amorim. The opportunity is if that player becomes available at the right price, then United go in. I don't think we're going to go in for João Gomez if they're not going to, let's say, for instance, drop the price or his price stays the same. I think João Gomez's price is 44 million. And that's been rumoured and talked about to be the fee that's going to get him out of Wolves. But I don't think they're willing to let him go for that in January. That's how I'm reading the situation at the moment. And look, I can understand that from the Wolves side of things. You don't want to lose your best players and you want to be looking to be backing your new manager coming in. So awkward situation in terms of trying to get something out of Wolves in January with them battling for relegation. Look, I've said this before as well. If Wolves don't do anything now, we don't get any more wins, or the form continues over the next 6 weeks before January opens, then you're looking at a potential, the downbeat Wolves side, players wanting to get out quicker, actually have a decent end to the season, fight for places in international teams like João Gomez, and he is now part of the setup with Ancelotti as well, wanting to get into that side. If he's losing, then it could happen. I'm not saying it won't, I'm just saying it might, and the way I look at it right now is I would sort of lean towards Wolves trying to back Rob Edwards and keep João Gomez in the side. I don't think they want to sell him in January, is what we're saying here. And obviously the difficulties of a January transfer window are there for everybody to see. If you are a buying club looking to invest in January, it's a nightmare. If you're a selling club and you're not looking to sell, you're looking to stabilise, then your quid's in because somebody's going to have to pay over the odds. And the way I look at it and the way I've seen the news and reports around Wolves at the moment, I don't think João Gomez is going to be doable for Manchester United. Conor Gallagher is doable for Manchester United, and they can make that happen. And it's probably going to be cheaper than João Gomez's price in the summer. So the potential to buy 2 or 3 midfielders over the next 2 transfer windows is 100% there for United. So where the word from Wolves is that they're not looking to sell João Gomez, United will obviously be there if that changes. From Atletico, it's more of a read the room type of situation. Gallagher isn't flavour of the month, well, it's not flavour of the season in terms of his starts for Simeone. So looking at his situation, he's been open about it as well. We spoke about this yesterday, actually, and him speaking to the media over in Spain was saying he's not satisfied with his minutes, but that was in terms of the player himself. He wants to play more minutes like any player would, and no one's satisfied with the minutes that he's had. If it's minimal and he's not starting every game, no professional footballer's happy. So take that with a pinch of salt from what Gallagher has actually said himself. But we know that Atletico would sell Gallagher. From what Romano has said, they would sell him, but the price has to come in. The loan option really isn't there for Manchester United. From what I've read and going through the reports, the loan with an obligation might work, but then the obligation might be more, and that might suit United because obviously if Gallagher helps United get into Europe, then they could enforce that obligation and get Gallagher in with having more money to pay for him as well with qualifying for Europe at the end of the season. Atletico Madrid don't want to lose a squad player. Well, it's not like Gallagher isn't playing. He is featuring, just not that much, and definitely not as much as he was last season. He wants to be part of the England setup. He's played 1 game for England, and that was against Senegal, the only game that Tuchel has lost so far. So he has a lot of work to do. Does he accept that he's not going to be in the England squad? Or does he move and get consistent game time, which he will at United from now until the end of the season? Does he go for that and push for a move away? Atletico want around 40 million quid for Conor Gallagher, which I think is a fair price for a 25-year-old with the experience that he's got. Look, we've had several debates already on the show, haven't we, on different videos about whether Conor Gallagher is actually the right type of player, good enough for Manchester United. Look, just for instance, last night, just to break it down on the internationals, we'll talk about this in a little bit as well. But Cunha played 45 minutes last night for Brazil. Casemiro played 60 minutes. They drew 1-1 in their game against Tunisia. And the USA battered Uruguay 5-1 last night. And Agate played 90 minutes of that game. Now, look, I'm not saying that Agate is at fault for every single goal, but clearly, if you are being absolutely pummeled and you're a defensive midfielder, you've got to be looked at. And for him to play 90 minutes and then to concede 5 goals, I'm just saying, look at the picture. Agate is not good enough for Man United. Ruben doesn't think he's good enough. Otherwise, he'd have been playing the younger player that United have spent 40 plus million on the previous season every single week. But he's not. He's playing a 33-year-old who is holding that midfield together. Agate's gone. You're going to need midfielders to come into Manchester United. Midfielders, not just one. Gallagher isn't going to be, instead of Elliot Anderson, Carlos Balabrio and Adam Wharton, he's going to be alongside one of them 3 players. Every single report that is in the tabloids, websites, online, social media, from any particular journalist, whatever tier it is of a huge investment coming for Ruben Amorim in the midfield area in the summer. Every single one. Whereas I would love, like most Man United fans, to be investing that money in January, there is only one player there that stands out as doable in the situation that's happening. Because we know that Atletico would have accepted a bid from Manchester United, according to Romano, in the summer. They wasn't selling him, but would have sold if the right bid came in. Only a permanent deal is on the table for Gallagher. It's whether or not he is a player that United have on their list for the summer. The only players United will bring in, and it goes right back to what Ruben said before the international break, we're only going to bring in players that are in the long-term vision of this football club moving forward. We're only going to bring in players that are going to feature for Manchester United week in, week out going forward. And that's it. And Manchester United are not going to waste money. And look, I'm happy about that. And if the right option isn't there in midfield, sod it. There's nothing you can do. There is zero that you can do with that situation. You have to move forward. You have to move on and just wait it out. And that's the big concern. We cannot. Well, we all know that we need to invest in the midfield. But if the right player isn't there, then what do we do? What do we do? Look, I'm going to get into the comment section on this now and then just move this along as well. First of all, in the comments, thank you, Jen, for dropping in them 5 memberships. Absolutely love that. Appreciate it. And the community just goes from strength to strength. Brilliant. Thank you, Gems, on that one. Kevin with a super chat says, I would prefer Gomez. He's a monster and a baller. If I was choosing, I would probably be the same, Kev. I'm going to be honest. Because he's a Prem-proven player now. And he's playing week in, week out. He's used to it. And I think he's used to playing that system as well. Because Vitor Pereira played exactly the same style and system as what Ruben Amorim did. He fits perfect for us right now. I'm going to be completely brutally honest, I don't see Wolves letting him go. From what I've read and what I've looked into, I don't see it happening. But United are there if the opportunity comes around. And I'll keep saying opportunity because if Wolves say to United, look, give us 50 now instead of 44 in the summer, do United go for it? 50 million quid for a player that you might have brought in or is, according to these reports, on your list as a summer target, then you go and make that happen, don't you? You have to make that happen. So, it is a worry. But, again, have we got enough there to see it out? Look, we're surviving at the moment, but I'm concerned for the injuries, of course, like every single club is and every single fan is. You're worrying and you're just thinking, like, if we lose Casemiro, we cannot survive with Agate. I know that would be the end, pretty much, of the Champions League hopes at least. And that sounds really downbeat and negative, doesn't it? But come on, you are thinking it. I'm just saying it out loud. Agate will not take Manchester United forward. He hasn't got the composure, passing quality, or reading of the game to actually take this team where it needs to go. And again, that stat about him being dribbled past so many times every single game, it's too easy to play against him. And it looks like USA found it easy last night as well, back in 5. Oh my days. Anyway, let's get some more comments in. If it's a loan, Gallagher suits Amorim's system a lot more mobile than Casemiro and Bruno. Only 11 games on with a cup run. Looking at 30 more. Need more engine in the pivot. Dunning there says, going into the amount of potential games Manchester United could be playing with the FA Cup this season added in January as well. When we wanted to sign Agate, everybody was overhyping about him, thinking like he was a Ballon d'Or winner. Then you disappoint again. Well, actually, I did a video where I was concerned about Agate, and then everyone was like over-talking, saying he's going to be the right player for United, and I kind of got lost in it all myself, to be honest. I'll admit that openly. But I did have my concerns about Agate, and before we were in the depths of that transfer window, I did a video and I remember talking about him in a way that his record doesn't really add up, and his stats are quite worrying. That yes, his ball retention is good and his duels are decent, but the being dribbled pass percentage in every single game was a major concern for me, and that happens to him week in, week out. I don't think you can have a midfield, well, a dominant midfielder or someone in a position like Agate. I don't think you can have him as the main man in there. I don't think he's got the capabilities of running that midfield, because you need to be able to run that midfield in that position. Hi Adam, I'm certain that Conor Gallagher can be a good signing for us, a box-to-box midfielder who can play deep as well. He has the qualities that I think sees him fitting well in Amorim's system. I agree on that one. Sesko Lover says, if Manchester United offer 50 million, they will accept because he will cost less in the summer. What do they want to survive in the Premier League? That's worth more money though, isn't it? That's the thing we're talking about with Gomez there, from what Sesko Lover has just said in the live comments there. It's whether or not Wolves see it more valuable in keeping him and him helping them survive, and obviously the rich rewards that come with being in the Premier League, or cash in now for 50, try and get a replacement and still survive, and your quid's in. They are a selling club and they do have problems there. Maybe United do go in and test their resolve and see if they can sneak Gomez away. But again, I don't know if Manchester United are in the position to go into any transfer and go into a, let's just say, a haggling match and just try and negotiate. I don't think they want any prolonged negotiations or anything like that this January for players that they know that they can get at a decent price in the summer. This is why I don't think they're willing to go all out and get Elliot Anderson this January, because they know they could get him, could be 30 to 40 million pound cheaper in the summer. But then again, you do run the risk of opposition coming in. And on the Elliot Anderson side of things, you have got that Chelsea link, which is hovering around now as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough old summer and a battle. And United need to be 100% certain and confident on their players that they're going to be getting in. And I think this is the work that's going on behind the scenes now. Rather than negotiating or getting close in January, it's doing all of the groundwork and laying everything out foundation-wise to get deals done when the summer transfer window comes around. Raws with the super chats in there. Any updates on loans away from Biancheri or Obi? Loving the good reports on the youngsters that we have on loan so far. In terms of them, the ones to watch from Manchester United's academy, Jace Fitzgerald, James Scanlon and Gabe Biancheri are the three that are most likely to be loaned out in January. No one is going to return from any of the 18 loans that are already out in the system for Manchester United. Not one of them players is going to return in January from what's been reported, and there have been specific reports on United's loans from the likes of the MEN and of course Nate Salt, who follows United's academy week in, week out from the Daily Mail. His report, I think, was the one that I would pay attention to there, because them players are in the under-21s and need game time. They're in the Harry and Mass category of players. Playing under-21s, outgrown the under-21s. Let's see what these guys can do in first-team football in the EFL. And that's what I think is going to happen. The interesting one on the loan system, and it comes in the form of Sekou Kone. We touched on him last night. Scoring 2 goals, well done to him for the Mali under-23s international duty. So we had a very good international duty, by the way. Unfortunate for, Rasmus and Dog, who both scored. was on the losing side last night. What an overhead kick from Scott McTominay, by the way, last night. Clean sheet on his debut for Senna Lamens. As you can see across the bottom of your screen there, since signing for Manchester United, he's the Terminator. He's just unbeaten at international and domestic level. So, yeah, influence that he's had. Casemiro and Cunha had good international breaks for Brazil as well. And De Ligt got minutes as well under Koeman this week, finally. So, it's been really good. And Sekou Kone got minutes and scored 2 for the Mali under-23s. And again, on the loan side of things, just to answer Rose's question there on the Super Chat, is do Manchester United loan Sekou Kone out? I wouldn't have thought it was at the forefront. Now, there are reports that he is going to go out on loan, but then again, I think Manchester United will hold on just in case they don't bring in the midfielder that we're talking about here, and the January transfer window goes with 0 signings. I have got a poll running right now, actually, in how many signings do you think Manchester United will make in January? Get on that poll and give me your thoughts in the comment section as well. 0, 1, 2 or 3 signings. I put 3 in there because YouTube gave you 4 options on the poll. I don't think United will sign 3 players. I don't think we'll sign 2 players. I think we'll sign 1, personally. And it might not even be a midfielder. And that's what we're going to move on to a little bit later on as well. Huge game Monday. Catch up when I'm back, pal. Thank you, Cam. Absolutely love that, buddy. I will see you at the next game. Enjoy your time wherever you are. I remember you telling me yesterday, actually, buddy. But thank you very much for that super chat, mate. I really appreciate that. Cam sits close to me at Old Trafford, and we're going to get some more people's opinions from games at Old Trafford again. We're going to extend out the content on match day, so if anybody is open to talking, do let us know. Hit me up in the comment section or on social media if you want to have your say on certain games. We're going to be doing a little bit more of that again going forward now when we return properly from internationals. Right, let's see what else we have got in the comment section on this. Agate's best games were when he played alongside Casemiro, but it's funny how he looks bad alongside Bruno. Funny that. Well, not really, because Bruno and Casemiro are completely different players, Andrew, I would say. And I think Bruno Fernandes isn't a midfielder right now. At the age of where he is and what's expected of him, he should be playing at 10. So we can't aim any negativity towards Bruno, I don't think. I think he's been used as a scapegoat a lot of the time. And I think we need to look at Ruben Amorim and Manchester United, and this is the importance of bringing midfielders in. Man United are going to trust in what Ruben Amorim's doing, then you need better players than what we've got in midfield. It's nothing to do with Bruno. We're using him as a make weight as well right now in that midfield. It's nothing to do with Casemiro. He's 33. And we can't expect Kobbie Mainoo to run a midfield in a 2. We have got midfielders there, all 4 of them, that work and operate better in a midfield 3. And that is what we're talking about. That's what we've actually said, and that's what we have argued with Ruben Amorim's system. This, I think, is exactly where Manchester United's problem is, and this is why they're going for the very best that they can in midfield. And this is why I don't think Manchester United are going to be able to get João Gomez in Wolves. If there is any money that's going to be taken away from getting one of the bigger players, and you would have heard Roy Keane talking about Adam Wharton and his potential move away from Crystal Palace. Perfect for Manchester United in terms of the type of player, temperament and character and how he reads the game. Look, every single one of these midfielders that United are being linked with will make this team so much better. I think the Gallagher and Gomez type of players... Look, Gomez, Gallagher, they could be mainstays and start week in, week out for Manchester United. But I think what we're looking at and hoping is we get an Elliot Anderson sort of Carlos Baleba situation coming in at Manchester United. That gives you power, strength, speed and presence, control, reading of the game. I just think that gives you pure execution in this system for Ruben Amorim. And I would not be surprised if United spent their whole budget on 2 players come the summer. I think that's how important it is for Ruben to get the right players in. And I said it before, I think Manchester United will be looking to then invest into the academy again and bring other players through. I really do think that that's where we're at. And when we look at strength in depth and we look at squad, and we're talking about bringing 2 or 3 players in, have Manchester United got a couple of players already coming through already? And I know I've already mentioned this. We just talked about Kone. Orozco is coming through in the summer from Colombia. If you go out and buy 2 best-in-class midfielders alongside them, and you've got 2 academy players coming through, you get rid of Agate, Casemiro leaves, then I still think Manchester United have got enough options there. Bruno's not going anywhere, it would seem. I think that's enough squad depth in midfield, personally. I would like another one. I would like as many as we could possibly get, but I think it's just being greedy at the moment. But give me 2 of them targets that we're talking about, and this team changes instantly. And I do think that United will be moving Agate and Casemiro on. I think that is quite clear. Just on the forward side of things as well, when it comes to, we'll talk about Semenyo in a minute, but also just on a story that we touched on a couple of weeks ago regarding Kevin Filling. He is a 16-year-old striker in Sweden. Manchester United have been joined by Borussia Dortmund in the race to sign 16-year-old Swedish forward Kevin Filling from AIK Stockholm. That's a team in the Premier Swedish division. Sporting director of Borussia Dortmund wants to sign him before his value rockets. The player could leave AIK as early as this winter, with interest in him increasing. We talked about this already a while ago around Kevin Filling. It's a player that's not going to feature for Manchester United straight away, and I don't think many people are too interested in it. But just to cover all angles on what we're talking about this morning around all of the transfers, he is another potential signing for United that they could get very cheap. And again, trying to beat the likes of Dortmund, like we were speaking yesterday regarding Musa Kittis from Olympiacos and Brighton in for him. United trying to get ahead of the likes of Dortmund and Brighton in these younger players, giving them a chance to bring through their own younger players instead of going out spending fortunes like we would have to do probably potentially on Carlos Baleba this summer. United trying to find their own gems still in this transfer window. So yeah, it's a tough ask for United, because we're up against teams that can offer more to these younger players right now in terms of game time. The pressure of Manchester United is that we can't bring 16-year-olds straight into the first team. We're just not. The pressure is too much and the expectation levels are so much higher that we can't do it. So that's the hard bit for United. Joe in the chat says, hi, if Ruben can't the fitness department help young players like Menu and Agate and get them around the pitch better, or put Mason Mount in the midfield? If we overwork them in midfield, injuries will come maybe. Yep. I just don't think he trusts them. I don't. I think 1 game a week is probably doable for most of this Man United team, which is why they're probably looking at the situation and saying, if there was a season when we didn't go out and buy somebody because we don't have as many games to worry about and fitness isn't as big a concern for us, it's probably this one. With United not being in Europe, it definitely gives them an opportunity to cling on to what we've got and just get through, I think is the best way to describe it. As long as we have Amorim, I couldn't care less about youth players. Harsh, again, give the man a chance. He's only been here a year. And, of course, we have rushed through players before. So I think Ruben is definitely taking a sensible approach to the academy, which is what's needed right now. So if we buy 2 midfielders, that means that Bruno doesn't start. He's behind our 2 new 10s, in my opinion. So does he get sold? Probably not. Because then I think you're looking at Bruno being part of a squad rotation. If he wants to stay at Manchester United, then he has to obviously expect it to be difficult to get into the side. And that, I think, is where... I think that's where Manchester United are at and looking at it at the moment. Look, Bruno can still play 90 minutes week in, week out. We know this. But if you are going to invest that much money in 2 midfielders, like Sean says there, then you've got to expect the likes of Bruno to spend more time on the sidelines. Surely that has to happen. And United evolve and move forward and start to look at life past Bruno Fernandes. I don't see him getting a new deal. I don't. Not on the money that he's on anyway. And that comes to an end, I think, in 27 for Bruno Fernandes. So I think this will be a slow adaptation to having a newer midfield and a different midfield without Bruno Fernandes. That's how I see it anyway. Look, Ruben might have other plans, and he might surprise us all again, as he's done many a times. This summer is a chance of a lifetime to get our midfield sorted for the next 10 years where there are so many choices to be had. We need at least 3. I think it is going to happen on that. And it is, you're right, it is the perfect opportunity to transform Manchester United's midfield, get the players in that we desperately need. And I think Manchester United will. I think there's going to be a huge investment in the summer in United's midfield. Dark Muppet says, if it was my mother who said, go on, feed her, I said no. If I do, she'll never go away. I stray. My mother died a year ago later, and now my cat reminds me of her every day. Mate, sorry about that, buddy. Didn't expect that to come in the chat this morning, mate. But yes, bring on the cats. That's all I say. And hopefully, Man United. Was she a United fan? Let me know. Talk to me in the chat there as well. Anyone who wants to come up with anything like that or any remembrance days of their own in their own personal life, get in there. That's what this community is for, everybody. And I'm glad that we can be part of people's lives in here as well and bring that happiness, talking about our beloved Manchester United alongside everything else that's going on in our lives. So please do continue to get them comments in there as well. Instead of buying the labour for a big money, we should buy young players Brighton are targeting. But again, Al, like I just said, we are targeting them players, but can they come in and adapt straight away to Manchester United with the expectation level that we've got alongside the demands of the Premier League? Some players you might be able to do that. I mean, look at what's happened to Manchester United this summer. We have invested in proven quality, and all of a sudden, United are a different team altogether. We need experienced Premier League players, and then we can start investing. This is just phase 1. I don't think we can go and do what Brighton do now because we're not at that stage. We're not settled yet. We're nowhere near. We need to develop our first 11, start being more consistent, and then I think we will start to look into that type of signing for United. And I think that will then be the next phase for United. Personally, anyway, I think it is going to be difficult for United right now to get anything like that done and any of them sort of deals done and expect something from them. Now, last night, we spoke on Antoine Semenyo. This does actually look like a doable deal now. So if you weren't in the show last night, please do get into the comment section. I've said this, I asked the question last night, and the majority did say that you would buy Antoine Semenyo even if it meant we didn't get a midfielder this January. Semenyo in, no midfielder. Would you go for that, people? Get your thoughts in on Semenyo now, because the story that we spoke about last night was that there is a clause in Antoine Semenyo's contract where a club coming in at a certain period in the January transfer window can bid 60 million and take him away, and there's nothing that Bournemouth can do about it. This is genuine and has been reported by every Tier 1 journalist out there. It's real, and Semenyo can leave for 60 million, plus 5 in add-ons eventually, but 60 million is the price that you will have to pay in January. Go in, and Bournemouth cannot do anything to stop that happening. So it's not overpaying. It's not an overpriced player. And at 25, it's a player in his prime with proven quality. This is an absolute bargain right now. Semenyo is going to be the story of the January transfer window without a shadow of a doubt. Do United enter the fray and get Semenyo? Now, the story we spoke about last night was that Ruben Amorim apparently met with Semenyo in the summer and was there to judge the player's character, whether he thought he was the right player to bring into Manchester United. After that, he clearly proved to be that player that Ruben wanted, because United had a bid rejected of 50 million. So, United, Spurs, had offers turned away. So there is previous interest in Semenyo from Manchester United. He is definitely our option as a player coming in, I feel, this January. And look, if you, for instance, and we spoke about this last night, managed to get Semenyo in and Conor Gallagher in, look, they're both players that Manchester United are going to look for in the future. We've said it before. Ruben Amorim, Man United only want players that are going to be long-term players at this football club. Semenyo is the automatic replacement for when the inevitable Joshua Zirkzee exit happens. It's coming, whether it's January or the summer. He's gone. And Semenyo comes in. Manchester United do need to think past the likes of Bruno Fernandes, like we've just said, with no extension on his contract at the wages that he's on. I think Bruno, even if he sees out his contract, I think Semenyo is the natural replacement for him as one of United's attacking players. With the midfielders that we're expecting to also bring in behind Bruno, you've got plenty of players ahead of him then in the forward line. You've got plenty of cover then in midfield, and United finally moved past him. And Semenyo could be someone United can get in January. In fact, if we were to get him, I think the only time United could is if they went in January and took advantage of this clause in Semenyo's contract. I think that's the best excuse me, the best chance United have got. It's getting him in now, well, we can, in January, giving Bournemouth that time to find a replacement for him. It has to be 60 million. And again, it doesn't matter. I can see people there already are garnering AFCON. This is a player for the future. And we're only talking about Semenyo because he is gettable now. Forget about AFCON. Doesn't even come into the equation with Semenyo. You're talking 60 million here for a player that could be playing for you at the highest level for the next 7 years. So AFCON for a few weeks is completely irrelevant. I know the season is important. I know that we need to get into Europe, but I'm sorry, when you've got options like that in your team, then you can always cover any sort of poor form. Well, we're missing players from AFCON, or anything we do lose out on, well, AFCON is going on. When you've got that quality of player coming back in, alongside the likes of Mazraoui, Ahmad, Brian Mbeumo, it makes a massive difference. It makes a huge difference. And I'm going to say it now. I said it last night again. If United are in this, then I think United need to go all out and make sure it happens. 60 million, you know what you're getting. It's 10 million more than what you pay or willing to pay in the summer. He's already proven this season that he's even better than probably what you thought last season. Go and get it done. Get ahead of Liverpool. Go and put that money down on Bournemouth's table now. Go into it. Go into the office. Drop that offer and make that deal happen is what I say. You cannot miss out on the opportunity to bring in that type of quality into your side, I don't think. It would be criminal if we allowed him to leave for Liverpool. Look, I know our other option, our priority is midfield, but that midfield is not coming in January. And we still have money. Does he help us get into the Champions League? My God, yes, he does. And you could even play him in a wing-back position. Just adapt it in. Honestly, I think there is that much versatility in Ruben's system that you could actually have all of your best players on the pitch there. You could have a system where you've got Ahmad, Semenyo, Mbeumo, Cunha and Sesko all in the same team. I mean, seriously? I know the midfield lets us down a little bit, but the quality in goals there for United. Look, let's just go and score one more than the opposition week in, week out and try get through that way until we can stabilise in the summer with the midfield. Look, I know it sounds like a crazy thought, but look, United, if they get Semenyo in, I think are nailed on for the Champions League. And I know the frailties that we've got in midfield. I know the problems we've got there, but I just think that United can't turn this down. It would be stupid if we weren't in for him anyway. Adam Semenyo could be the modern day Sadio Mane, says Stephanie. I don't want him to go to Liverpool. I don't know if you're alluding to that, Stephanie, either. He could be a great replacement for Mo Salah. So United need to be at it and go for him. I would love Semenyo, but not at the expense of a midfielder, which we all have been crying out for. But if we can't get one in January, mate, do you go for Semenyo? That's the question, because I'm with you, Andrew, on that. Like, if I had an option of getting the right midfielder that we want, that we've all talked about in January, I'd take that all day long ahead of Semenyo. But like I said before, looking at all the news, putting it all down, I don't see Manchester United being able to get the midfielder that they want in January. Semenyo is cheap and gettable now. I think you've got to get that. I think United will actually look at Semenyo for potentially that wing-back area. And then he's always an option to play in at the 10s as well. I think he'll play like Ahmad. I think he'll be in and out of the wing-back and the 10 role for United. Look, it's not for us to decide. We can only dream about him being there at wing-back and being happy playing at wing-back. He might not want to come and play at wing-back. And I know that that's probably a real side of this as well. So, look, it's an option for United. And it's an option I think we have to take. I just don't think you can turn down that type of player. I really don't. And that's United looking pretty formidable going forward. The counter-attacking pace, power, quality on the ball that United would have, that would be pretty scary. Can you imagine that wing-back and forward line for United? United's 5 forward-thinking players. At that point, I would say United should be comfortable in probably playing 2 holding defensive midfielders in a system like that. I would. I think this gives you the chance to maybe play Agate next to Casemiro, with Casemiro nursing him through the games. And Bruno can come in as an option as a 10. Put Semenyo at wing-back, Ahmad the other side, and Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko. And then you've got Bruno and Mount to cover in certain areas at maybe 8 and 10 if necessary. That's what that does. That's what that does. It gives us another option there. And I'm all for more options and being able to adapt this team. But the attacking pace, quality on both sides, it's scary to think that you could have Bryan Mbeumo and Ahmad on the right and then Cunha and Semenyo on the left with Sesko up front. If you bring in the 2 midfielders in the summer that we really need, then holy luly, that is a different animal altogether, innit, of a team. Wow, that is going places. And some, I would say, at that point there then. So, yeah, that's what it gives us. That's what it brings us. And that's another option for Manchester United clearly there, isn't it? Thank you, everybody who's liked the video already. Please do keep them coming in. We're nearly at the 200 mark there, everyone. Thank you for the new memberships gifted by Gems earlier on as well, and all of the super chats so far. Keep your comments coming in. I can see people there getting excited about the thought of that potentially happening. Look, it's a long way off, and I'm not saying that this is definitely going to happen, but there is a realistic chance United could get Semenyo in January. That's a guarantee. That's a fact. It's there. We have bid for him before. We do like him, and he's cheap. It's a no-brainer. I'm sorry, this is what we would always do under Sir Alex Ferguson. I mentioned that last night as well. If the best players are available, United have to be interested. Have to be interested. Anyway, looking forward, again, like I said at the top of the show, realistically in the midfield department, it looks like Conor Gallagher is our best option. Going off what stories are coming out from Wolves regarding Rob Edwards and the promise on João Gomez not being sold in January, it looks difficult for United to make anything like that happen. But we will see. Gallagher is always an option for Manchester United. We could promote Sekou Kone through at some point into the team as well. It's a tough one. It's really tough to try and get through this season without another midfielder coming in. In terms of the poll that we've got running as well, everybody, right now, looking at it, how many signings do you think United will make in January? 20% of you think we are going to sign nobody. 45% of you think we're going to get 1 signing. 2 signings is 29%. That's actually optimistic. 6% of you think United are going to make 3 signings in January. Poof! I tell you what, that is confident thinking, isn't it? In terms of the internationals, again, that being over now, well done to the players that featured, did well. Unfortunately, not a great night for Patrick Dorgu, even though he scored again for Denmark. Rasmus Højlund also scored a penalty, so look, not important for United, but important in a way that, again, he's keeping his form up this season. Scoring helps us sell him in the summer. Obviously, the likes of Matthijs de Ligt finally getting minutes, like I said earlier on. 45 minutes for Cunha, 60 minutes for Casemiro. They've both been busy on international duty. On their way back now, of course, with the game being played on Monday for Manchester United, we have the extra 2 days, full weekend off. So there shouldn't be any issue at all of these players not being fit for the game on Monday night. Sometimes on international duty, with the South American contingent in particular coming back a bit later, there's always the thought of them not getting as much game time in the weekend's fixtures because they need a bit more rest. But with us playing on Monday night, it's not even the equation now, I don't think. So expect to see Casemiro start against Everton. Expect to see Bruno Fernandes right next to him. Patrick Dorgu is showing form again, so hopefully he sticks with him. Ahmad got here a few minutes. I think he got 7 minutes the other night for the Ivory Coast. Brandon Mbeumo was done a long time ago on his internationals. Mason Mount's been sat at home doing nothing, just training, alongside Harry Maguire recovering and Luke Shaw not doing much. Mazraoui played last night as well. He got minutes. He is fit and on his way back also. Of course, Senna Lamens, like we said, debut for Belgium, clean sheet and unbeaten since joining Manchester United. Overall, apart from the injury to Benjamin Sesko, fantastic, because on top of that as well, we have Leacher with another 2 weeks of full first team training under his belt and available for selection this weekend. Sorry, Monday night, next week. God, it's painful waiting as a United fan, but in a way, this time around, with it being the last one and this next group of games being so important for Manchester United, again, I do think that Monday night football just gives us that little bit of a boost. Like, I looked at all the fixtures and Man United can be bottom half of the table by the time the weekend ends and we play Everton. But we can catapult ourselves right back up there. And with the likes of, obviously, Spurs playing Arsenal, teams ahead of us playing each other again, it's a good thing for United because someone's going to drop points and we can take advantage of that. So let's see what happens, because I know the games that United have got coming up. I mentioned this last night. Again, it's Everton, Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Villa. I think Manchester United have to be confident in taking points off all of them teams. In fact, out of all of them teams, there is only Villa, who are on the same points as us actually, that are ahead of us in the league table. So the next month's worth of football is against teams all below Manchester United in the league table. We have to be taking as many points as we possibly can out of the next 6. Everton, West Ham and Bournemouth are the home games. Palace, Wolves and Villa are the away games for Manchester United. So it's going to be a very, very, very interesting next 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks for Manchester United, because Villa's on the 21st of December and then you're into the festive fixtures for Manchester United. So how many points do we take from them 6 games? Because then, of course, we've got Newcastle on Boxing Day. And then it's Burnley. No, sorry, we play Newcastle Boxing Day. And then it's Wolves at home before the year ends. And then first game of the new year is away to Leeds. Then we're away to Burnley, 2 promoted sides. You'd expect United to hold their own there. Before the big ones, back-to-back games, home to Man City and away to Arsenal. That's Manchester United's next group of games. And then after that, there's another run of games that you would expect Manchester United to do well in. And that's Fulham at home, Tottenham at home, West Ham away, Everton away, and Crystal Palace at home. And that's your February. So the opportunity is there for Manchester United. It really is. And I think the tougher games are quite spread out for us. I'd expect United to be going into January comfortably in the top 5, going off them. And that's my prediction anyway. I don't know where you're all at in terms of them games and where you expect United to be. In fact, put in Man United's position going into the Leeds game. So Leeds, we play at Ellen Road on the 4th of Jan. So in 2026, heading into that Leeds game, off them fixtures that United are playing, what position are we going to start 2026 in? I'll go through them again quickly for you so you've got all of the games there. Everton, Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle, Wolves. They're the last games of this calendar year. Going into 2026, where do Manchester United place themselves? Where will we be going into that game at Ellen Road on the 4th of Jan, people? Get into the comment section. Give me your thoughts. Where are we going to be placed? Let me know. 4th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd. Everyone's thinking we're going to be in the Champions League places, man. It's mega. I'm loving the confidence. 4th, 10th. I'm not listening to you, Jonathan, on that one. 3rd, 5th. 4th again. 5th, 6th. We're in the mix then. We're in the mix, is what everybody's saying. I love it. I love it. And that finishes our show, everybody. Thank you so much. Well over 200 likes on it. Loads of great debates and comments in the comment section. 5 new members. Thank you to the super chats. Thank you to the mods as well. Fantastic job as always. I'll be back later on this evening. I'll bring any news and updates throughout the day if anything significant does break. But until then, enjoy your Wednesday. Internationals are over, everybody. Everyone's on the way back. Full steam ahead. Premier League action now for the next 3 months. Get in there. See you in a bit, everyone.